Naomi. All right, thank you. So thanks everyone for joining us here. This is the last youth service meeting for the Rotary year, and just want to say thanks to everyone for all of their hard work and getting through the year, doing your successful projects. I mentioned I think to a few folks, and I want to say it to you, all of you. I wish I'd had more time this year for you all. I know it was a little rough. Lots of change for me in terms of work, and which is fine, is great. A lot of new opportunity, but obviously I'm a volunteer and I have a day job, so it was hard to give you 100% of my effort. I apologize for that, but it's going to be a new year, Rotary year coming up here at the end of the month. I'm looking forward to, like I mentioned, the transition in terms of the leadership that we're going to see with Jen joining here as co-chair and Naomi helping out more as our assistant, and our admin, I guess you want it to be called. But no, looking forward to it. Jen's going to bring a lot of good energy and ideas, and I know she's already has some thoughts to what she wants to kind of see over the next few years as soon as she kind of takes over for this role in Nancy's district governor year. But I just want to say thanks for bearing with me this year in all things youth related. As again, as we move into the next year, I will be here around, and I will be helping Jen, and Jen will be helping me, and we'll be kind of co-chairing this thing together. Um, that being said, just a quick reminder here to update your club advisors for this upcoming Rotary year. I think there was probably some kind of issue with the form or something, Naomi, but now it's been fixed. So I know it's probably, you don't have to do it every year, but it's something if we can just get into like a best practice for the district to do it every year. Please go ahead and update that because it does keep your Interact clubs active. And I'm still working with a bunch of other clubs whose clubs were terminated or inactivated by Rotary. And so it's important because it does happen. And there are several clubs that are actually working around right now that don't have that aren't listed on the active club list for Rotary International, which it can be problematic, especially for insurance reasons. So please go ahead and do that. Update your advisor, and really all you need to do is update your Rotary advisor. It doesn't even require you to add in your faculty advisor. So it's really easy. Please go ahead and do that for the upcoming Rotary year. I mentioned
Brian, I have a
before.
quick question on
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
Sorry. Does, because this is my first time dealing with this, do the satellite clubs have to do that as well? Or because they have a home club, they just work with the youth services that's already in the home club?
Do you mean Rotary satellite clubs, or do you
Correct. Like
mean?
if there's a Rotary satellite club, should there be a youth services person in that club? Or are they kind of using the youth services in the main club?
For the purpose of certification, I don't think there's an issue, but Naomi, you might know more on the satellite clubs for if they have to be a part
Just
of
because there's
the.
becoming more and more satellite clubs now, and as an AG is something I wasn't sure of, so I wanted to ask.
Because in Club Runner, we don't have the satellite clubs listed, yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, that's a good question because we should have a youth service chair in the satellite club if the club wants that. And so maybe we can find a way to put them on the Club Runner. And then who's the sponsor? If the satellite club is the sponsor of the Interact club, then
I was going to say it probably depends on who the
Yeah.
sponsor of the Interact club is. If you've listed the satellite club as a sponsor club, then you definitely would want them. If it's listed as I think there's only one space for sponsoring Rotary clubs in general, but there are more opportunities now to co-sponsor clubs. So it's interesting if I don't know if any club would have put like their club plus a satellite club. I think it's definitely
Right, right.
possible. So if you listed both clubs on the Interact certification form, the sponsorship form, I think either club club's youth service chair could probably be the sponsor, it could be the certifier for the Interact Club, but one of whoever is on the Interact Club sponsorship form should be the listed advisor. Put
Okay,
it
good
that
to
way.
know. I'm
Yep.
just trying to get more club involvement too, so I was just trying to be creative, so thank you.
Great. Thank you. And district grants are due here on June 15th. Please identify any kind of youth service project that you'd like to have funded by your district grant program. And now is the time to do it. I think, I wanted to use a lot of this time, or at least spend some time here in the meeting to remind folks that your club's projects for your Interact clubs you can help them by, doing district grants for your club. You can actually help, support projects with Interact. And that's something that, I do every year for Honolulu Sunrise. We, out of our district grant allocation that we get for our club, I usually save around $500 to $1,000 for Interact Club projects to support them, in addition to the RILA and the other sponsorships that we do need during the year. So now is the time to make sure that you've covered your RILA costs, as well as your any kind of Interact support in your district grants program. To do that now, I know probably many of you are already familiar with that process, but for those of you that are not and are new, if you enter your projects into your district grants for youth, you can go ahead and fund it. So for our club, we sponsor usually 4 kids to attend RILA on Oahu, and that comes out of our district grant funding every year. So if that's something that you have available in your budgets for your upcoming Rotary year, please consider using some of those funds to support these youth programs. My guess is for RILA for Oahu this upcoming year is going to be similar in costs, or probably may increase in costs. There was some budget amounts that were left over from previous years that due to COVID we didn't actually use, and so we kind of cleared that out, and now we are back to kind of our full sponsorship price at $250. If it goes up next year, I don't know the answer yet, but it'll be similar, if not more, to send kids to RILA on Oahu this year. If you plan on sending students to RILA from your clubs, which I hope every club does, the budget there might increase, so you might want to just factor some of that into your grant rating.
Ryan,
Yep.
Rick said last week that it's $250.
It's $250 again. Okay, well, that's good.
Okay, good.
So try to budget for that. All right, hopefully that helps on your Interact clubs. I guess anybody have any questions on Interact? I know it's summer already, so the schools are out. So if you missed the boat on transition planning or getting your officer set up for next year, I highly suggest you reach out to the Interact Club first thing of the school year. Usually there's a club week where they're advertising their clubs, they're looking for members. They need to elect officers if they haven't already. So just try to, make sure that a lot of this stuff is happening for this upcoming school year for your Interact clubs, to make sure that they're still got the support and can be active as possible. HRYF, we got less than 30 days here. If you haven't met your per capita goals for the current Rotary year, which is the 23 to 24 year, you have until June 30th basically to meet that $20 per capita goal of donations for your club. So again, $20 per person in your club to be eligible for the full $5,000 scholarship. If not, your club will be only eligible for the $3,500 scholarship amount.
25.
Is it 25 or 35? I thought it was always 35.
25.
25. Sorry. Even I was off on that one. $25,000. 25,000.
100.
500.
Geez, Ryan's
scholarship.
giving away
Woo!
money.
I'm giving away money. It's been a long day. So please, you got 30 days. If you don't know, please email Tina Yap, the HRYF office administrator. She is letting clubs know as long as you've asked her what where your club stands. So go ahead and email her if you have any question, if it's not if
Did
your
a lot
club
of
hasn't met
clubs
those
have
goals.
problems this year getting applicants? I just saw a lot of emails through the HRYF where there wasn't as many applicants or some schools didn't get any applicants. And I mean, was there just a communication problem? Or I'm just trying to figure it out because this is the first time I ever heard. But I was watching, I don't know if you guys are in the HRYF, communication, but I was watching the feeds and there was so many places that were saying they weren't getting applicants at all. Did you guys have that experience or I'm just wondering?
We had 14.
Oh, wow.
We had very few applicants.
It definitely varied by area and by kind of club. You know, HRYF does send this out, the application and the information to all the schools in the DOE as well as the private schools, and so people know about this.
Okay.
And some schools are obviously better than others at reminding their students to apply. You know, if you have a good college counselor at your school and you have a good kind of a scholarship person there, then they kind of know who to tell, and they already kind of even know who might want to apply. So it was definitely interesting. We had 6 applicants, so it wasn't a banner year, but it wasn't a terrible year either for us. We've definitely had less in the past. We definitely had more. But it's again, I think it's up to everyone here to just remind the schools in their region, to remind their networks that this application is available. It's not available yet, but it will be available for the upcoming year. And it's it's just we can only do so much. I think we do pretty well on the word of mouth, but it's up to the schools and the students to really to follow up. And I've heard a couple of people even this year. So we had 6, but we were supposed to have more. People emailed saying they were going to apply, and then at the end of it, they didn't apply to us. And then I checked in to see if they applied to somewhere else, and they said they didn't even apply somewhere else. They just didn't even complete the application. So people I guess they just don't want money at some point. I don't know. I'm giving it away. We're all giving it away. But it's hard, but I think you're asking the right questions. I think we just have to, as collectively as a group, keep spreading the word and working with the administrators at the schools, because
Thank you,
they have
Ryan.
other things they're dealing with too.
Okay, so Ryan,
Um,
can I ask a
mhm.
question? So, do people ask why you didn't apply for the HRYF? We've been hearing one is because it's too complicated. You got too many steps. You got to do the interview. Whereas if you apply at the Hawaii Community Foundation, you get one application and it goes out several places. That's one. Another is that ours is for tuition only, where others are cost of admissions, which is different. Because when you get scholarships from the school, if you get another scholarship, it reduces what the school gives you, so you end up with the same thing. So, some people think, why bother with HRYF?
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody else has had comments, I can answer a little bit on our behalf for Honolulu Sunrise. We definitely heard those 2 things. But it does, I mean, for me, it's like we're not going to please everyone. It's this hard thing to do. So I definitely heard it was too complicated. I've heard you guys have an interview and I could just go through a clearinghouse that's going to put my name out to all these different scholarships like Hawaii Community Foundation. I've heard a lot of excuses in many instances. I have heard the comment about it's only good for tuition, but that's very few and far between for us. Most people are looking for some tuition coverage, and it doesn't always affect their other financial aid if they're getting merit-based aid. So that's kind of my 2 cents. I don't know if anybody else has anything, any other experience with HRYF candidates having an issue applying for our scholarship. None.
I've heard what Naomi has said.
Yeah.
I hear that too. So
So if HRYF was to change the purpose, What would you suggest? Because they're supposed to have a meeting about this. Would
It's a
you
good
like to go,
question.
would you rather go with cost of admission rather than only tuition?
I do think that that's fair. I mean, whether the money gets spent on books, room and board, food versus just tuition, I don't see a particular um need to restrict it to just tuition. I do think that would help a lot of candidates, feel more uh just have a lot more leeway to where they can use the money. Um so I think that's probably an easy thing. But I've had other thoughts on the overall the
Yeah, but I
overall.
think the
Yeah.
point that Naomi made earlier, excuse me, was correct. If it's earmarked for tuition, that reduces the need for the university to provide more funding. And actually, the tuition tends to be the largest expense anyway. So if the monies are used more flexibly, you can rely more on the school directly if you are getting a tuition waiver. Otherwise, they may not give the full tuition waiver. That's just a thought,
I think one concern is that the money actually go toward the student's education. And we don't know what happens if you give money directly to the student, what they'll be doing with it. So I think that's in the past been an issue.
But I think you can still send it to the school to credit to their account. It just doesn't have to be earmarked for tuition. It can be applied to their account for room and board or for meal plan or something like that. And I think that's definitely books. I think that's definitely a valid concern. Honestly, I guess I just haven't heard a lot of students complaining about this issue particularly, I guess, because for us, there was always a ton of need base for them. And this, while it goes to their tuition, they always find other sources of funding as well. So,
there is the annual meeting on June 14th. So we should all have a representative at that meeting.
June 14th, do you have is it on Zoom? Did I miss that email?
They supposedly are sending out an email, but it's
okay
on Zoom.
All right, very
I'll
good.
be attending that regardless, so I'll be happy to report back.
I mean, I talked to Steve Dyer. I've heard rumblings of maybe trying to increase the value amount to make it something more impactful for folks. I think we don't want to maybe lose the opportunity for each club to give out some scholarships. So that's the hard part, obviously, is you can't really increase the amounts too much without it being a burden to the foundation and the clubs. But it's hard. I think if people saw a big number, they would work a lot harder to apply. I think for whatever reason, I don't know, $5,000 doesn't seem to be that desirable anymore. Who knows?
I got a question.
Hey, Jen.
So what I heard from seniors, it's probably one of those scholarships that has the earliest deadlines. And
it does. That's another comment that we've heard. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's hard for them to even know about it because their search just begins and it's already over. So is there any way we could move it to like the end of March?
So it's a double-edged sword in many regards. It's like you want to go early to get ahead of all the other scholarships out there, and so ours doesn't fall through the cracks. And then we have some time for interviews. But yeah, for whatever reason, they're just not really paying attention to it. You push it too far, and then they're in graduation already. So, but I do know. I do, recognize like some people are like, I don't think about scholarships till I've picked a school, and then you're like, oh, well, you're kind of late there. But I've heard that too. So I don't know, what do folks here think? Is it too early of a scholarship application deadline?
the advantage of having a non-traditional time for submitting the application is that if it's due at the same time as all the others, it's too stressful for the student because they have to do so many of them. So it's not a bad idea to have it submitted at a different time.
I think this year, one of the problems we had was they didn't have a certain test score that was available that they needed to kind of judge in the HRYF scholarship. And so it like really put a kink into everything, and everything kind of got delayed because the kids didn't have that information. So we had to actually change the scorecard and everything to make that work this year. And I think that was another reason I was saying, I think before you got on the line, Jen, was that there weren't as many applicants. And there was a lot of schools that didn't get applicants and stuff because they didn't have that information to submit for their application. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
The
Yeah, I don't know if there was just you know, I don't know if, you know, I've always asked the question if I didn't know, but I don't know if there was a bunch of applicants that just decided they didn't have their FAFSA, so they couldn't submit their application so early, and just thought, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to get anything out of it because I don't meet the requirements. But I do know HRYF did send out some guidance to folks about that. They could, you know, the students should have been able to apply obviously without their FAFSA information. We could, I'm sure, do better at notifying our students about it and sending out public information on it. So I think all lessons learned. Yeah, you know, I think there's, again, you're never gonna please everyone or reach everyone. I think that's just the hard part. Going too early, going later on, whenever it is. So I think I don't know if I mind the deadline date as it is set, but you know, I guess if folks are really, I don't know. You know, I did hear a couple of people, you know, through the grapevine that just said, "Oh, you know, it was too early. I just forgot about it, and I only kind of got into gear for scholarships in March and April." And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know if we can help you with that. You know, it's tough.
Is the submission process online or it's a paper
is.
application? Oh, it is
Well,
online.
no, well, the application is online, but it's still a paper application. Yeah.
I see. Because if it's strictly online, you know, people can do it at their leisure and they just need a computer and they can fill in the application, you know, on a rolling basis too. I mean, that's another option, is on a rolling basis.
That would be a good idea. I think if the administration of HRYF could handle it, because I do think, you know, sometimes you get to it, you want to work on it, and then you kind of want to save it for later. You don't really, you can do that online. You can't really, I mean, I guess you can do it with a paper copy too, but it's a little more seamless online. You know, I think we still need a process to make sure that the recommenders, their letters of recommendation are still sent in somehow, and those are signed. I mean, I think the hard part is sometimes I see applications and no one, you know, the letters aren't actually signed, and you're just like, okay. But you know, somehow we have to figure out a way to kind of merge the two. But I think that's definitely a piece of advice that the board could use at HRYF.
And another thing, I just was speculating on would be the applications due June 15th by the different clubs for projects. Can any of them be encouraged to say, we give matching funds to students who already were given some type of scholarship to attend university?
Yes.
And then the project could be give matching funds to a few students. I mean, that's another way of using funds.
Well, we do have clubs that have their application for scholarships, so that's being done now.
Is it it's not really a matching program as I understand it though, Naomi. It's more like it's like a club specific scholarship that you could also use to increase your HRYF givings. Whoever you give your HRF scholarship to, you could actually potentially give them another scholarship. Are you talking about a matching?
The district grant is part of it. The allocation, part of it is matching. So it depends on if you're taking a no match for a match portion.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think Nita, your question is, can district grant funds be used to match the HRYF scholarship to make it more larger? Is that what I'm hearing?
Or if the student says, I'm still short of funds, could you match what a university is giving? Or the Youth Foundation, for example?
Wow.
That I think you
lot of
wouldn't
money.
necessarily call it a match, but you could call it a scholarship,
Right.
a club specific scholarship. Because I'm not, you don't really know what you're matching at that point. By when you're doing your district grants for June 15th. The district grants are also, just a reminder, are per club. So your club would have to have those funds.
Or
In their-
discretionary funds or something?
Or discretionary funds in within your club, right? And so if your club has that, I think it'd be cool if you could match, like $10,000 from a school that's giving $10,000 to a student, and you could match that with another $10,000. You could, in my mind, you could use district grant funds for that allocated to your club, but I don't know if you would call it a match per se. I think you'd probably just call it a club scholarship or something like that, in addition to the HRF scholarship.
Mhm.
That would be my thoughts and my recommendation on kind of how to go through that. But if you do have district grants and you want to, put in, a scholarship for $5,000 in your district grant as part of maybe an HRYF match, that's definitely possible if your club has those allocations in your grant funding. And so that would be something you'd want to put in by June 15th of this year for next year, next Rotary year. All right. Naomi, do you have any more information on the luncheon? I didn't see anything come out from HRF yet either on that, but that's still July 6th, as far as I know, for lunch.
No, I haven't heard.
Okay, so stay tuned again on that. The luncheon on Oahu for HRF recipients to attend. There'll be some information on how to attend and the cost to attend. But hopefully you could be there to support your students if they can make it. Obviously harder for our outer island folks.
Each island is
Mhm.
supposed to
Robbie and Katie are coordinating one on Maui, so I think we'll
Very
have
good.
Yeah, we do it on Big Island also.
Awesome. I'm like way out of touch on the time because the last time I went to one of the luncheons, I think everyone was from outer islands. So. All right, good.
Naomi, you had something to say?
no, that every island was doing their own. So I was going to ask Karen if they were doing that. So
So everyone got their certificates though. It should have been mailed to you and received for your students. So please make a time this summer, if you haven't already, to present those certificates before they go away to college. And make sure you keep in touch with them. You have their email address, you have met them, and you will be recognizing them at a luncheon. So keep following up with your awardees and your past awardees. All right. For Ryla, there was a planning committee meeting for Oahu, right, Naomi, that I missed? Is that right? Did Rick have one? Or did he just email that the cost was going to be $250 for next year?
yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So Ryla, for next year, please, if you're interested in helping, please let me know and I can point you to each of the islands Ryla committees. But I think I mentioned this at a past meeting that between Jen, Naomi, and I will be providing more statewide kind of just oversight of Ryla's programs this year. Not that everyone's doing fine. I think is just I think to provide more consistency across the islands between each of the Rylas being put on, we're gonna be doing some just statewide assistance with each of the island committees as they move forward to plan these events. The Oahu Ryla again is going to be scheduled for earlier this year. It actually helps with the HRYF process that the Oahu Ryla is earlier. But I know the other islands have already scheduled theirs for the kind of the mid-February date. But if just put that in again on hold, and then budget for your attendance for your students that you can sponsor.
Can
Just
we
a
get
quick,
those dates? Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
just a quick question. Has Ryla ever been more than 2 days? 2.5 days?
Not that I know of in my
Not-
time here,
not in
but
Hawaii.
obviously you can tell I've know very little sometimes. Not in Hawaii as far as I know of. Yeah.
Yeah, the question came up for like a 3-day Ryla versus a 2.5. So, all right. Just
I don't
wanted
think
to-
there's any restriction.
Mm.
But I mean, obviously you need to have it fully staffed at all times. That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, some districts on the mainland have it for a week because it's a summer camp. Oahu Ryla actually starts Friday and Sunday, so technically that's 3 days, right?
It's like 2.5. Yeah. But again, yeah, just youth protection wise, make sure it's you've got your volunteers coverage if you're gonna have it that long. And then just again a reminder for folks for on the youth protection side. I've pinged Peter. Still hasn't given me clubs that are not compliant for this year, but at this point we're late. So I'm gonna just gonna remind folks for next year. Every club needs to agree to the certification for youth protection training that Peter and the district put on, usually in August. And there's a couple of forms that Peter has everyone sign. Each club needs to be acknowledging that they sent a representative to the training, and then that representative will then train others within their clubs who are interacting with youth. Please be ready for that coming up here in the new Rotary year. We'll try to do a little bit better of a job this year tracking folks that are not following up. Peter does a very good job of offering alternative opportunities, including viewing recordings at everyone's leisure. So there's really no excuse. And for me, I'm sorry, I should have been more on top of it this year. But again, if you can at least help out with that, now that there's 2 more people helping me this year, we'll definitely be asking more, and you'll be definitely hearing from us more. Youth protection programs, also just a reminder, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but just the background checks here really need to be up to date, and anyone working with youth in a isolated capacity, if it's just a couple of Rotarian volunteers using with youth programs, should have a background check. You should, best practice, always do something together with another Rotarian adult. And just make sure your club is up to date on background checks. If you have any questions on whether or not you are or not, you can always email Natasha over at the district. She's the YPO Youth Protection Officer administrator who's keeping track of all this. So please try to stay up to date.
Hey, Ryan.
Mhm.
Here for the youth protection certification, can we this time around have it emailed to that email box you guys use so that we have it in one place, and then from there we can track who sent it in and who didn't?
Yes, I will tell Peter to send it to Youth Services at Rotary D5000. So if you ever need to reach me and the youth service team, that's our email, youthservices@rotaryd5000.org. I receive it, and then I usually send it out to folks. I'm always checking my email on it. So yeah, we'll start to use that email more, I think, this year, and for requests and things like that. If you can copy that email, that's always a good thing too. I know when I'm informed, so sometimes I forget, but all right. Moving on. I think there's not much going on in youth. Obviously, it's kind of a slow time during the summer, but if there are opportunities for upcoming projects, joint projects, I think Jen is gonna think about this for a little bit for a future meeting, but peace projects for her have been a very high priority, and so I'm not going to put you on the spot today, Jen, but something to think about as we jump into the new year. If there's any projects you want to do peace related, Naomi, what's the theme for this upcoming year? I should know this too.
This is the magic of Rotary.
The magic of Rotary. And so
Yeah.
if there's anything you wanted to do related to the theme, please do so. There's obviously there's a lot you can do with that, and a lot of it can be youth related, and a lot of it probably
Well-
can't or probably isn't, but
I'll
think about that.
intercede
Yep.
just a little bit because Naomi and I, bullying, and when we went to Singapore, there was quite a bit on the peace committee as of the different venues of peace and how the youth, it can make a difference. And, being bullied, and what was the other one, Nancy, Naomi, where depression is really big in our schools, and it makes them do things that they normally wouldn't. So I'm hoping that our Interact Club will take that on as a challenge of depression in their school, that these kids have a place to go and feel wanted and needed. Yeah. So that's just
two really important things. So if somehow you want to engage your Interact clubs in either of those two kind of missions for this upcoming school year, I think we'd be more than excited to support on the district side and help you make the project successful and publicize it and everything like that. So excited about that. Those are two very important topics. I won't get into the other projects in detail. I think everyone kind of has heard many of these before. Wes and team, I mentioned to him at district conference that I need some indication of whether we're going to do Junior RILA next year or not. I don't know. He said he would think about it. So we're still waiting from the Junior RILA committee. Obviously, I think there's going to be some changes from the past Junior RILA. Still, it'd be great if you could plan on something occurring this year, this Rotary year. It may not be this fall like it typically is in like the September time frame. But if there's an opportunity to do something with our middle school students in a Junior RILA setting for the year, if you can reserve some district grant funding for your club in that'd be great. And stay tuned from the committee.
Well, let's ask June and Dick what they think about Junior RILA. I mean, is it good to have this online thing, or is it better to have something in person?
The kids are kind of zoomed out, so they're not, they don't like to just sit and watch the computers. So that's the feeling I got from the Mililani Middle School. So basically, that's it.
You get to begin to try and make contacts and friends and so forth. A lot of ours, like from Cross Academy and Highlands Intermediate, they don't show very much interest in being part of it. Like at Highlands, the student council is really our Interact club, and they won 2 years in a row. They won all kinds of national awards. Last year, they were the best student council body in the nation. This year, they won this Gold Star Award 10 years in a row, which is a record. So they're doing other things and being a lot more active in dealing with other kids. So Zoom is, just doesn't fill their needs.
So do they want to do something at all? Because one idea is to have the junior junior interactors,
Middle school.
junior school, middle school interactors go to be part of RILA, the regular RILA.
True, well, I mean, now, you know, our club has taken a whole different approach with the youth. We're dealing with 17 schools in I Am Pro City. We only need 5 more schools that we have every school in I Am Pro City. Working from 3rd grade on up to high school. And as they go up to the middle school, we get them involved in Interact. When they move up, we get involved with the high school Interact. And you know, like, I don't know if you guys know, but we gave out 794 dictionaries this year. We're gonna give out 850, and hopefully in 3 years, there'll be 1,000 dictionaries. So we're doing a different approach. We're getting kids from 3rd grade, and for the first time, we've been doing this for 11 years. Our 3rd graders graduated, the seniors. So we're taking an approach from the PR in the beginning and just moving it up and just keeping Rotary in front of their, you know, in front of their face and mind. So we're doing it totally different.
So for you, Junior Ryla's, you're not interested, your kids are not interested in anything Junior Ryla.
No, and then you know, Barry was not impressed with the Ryla format,
The Junior Ryla or the big Ryla?
the big Ryla actually.
Oh.
So he's got some other big ideas that he'll have our club and other clubs do, and then that's the district if they want to participate. I'll just leave it at that right now.
Well, I think my message is like you got to do what works for your schools, right? And what level of effort you're going to put in from your Rotary Club, you know, has to work, right? And I would probably generally agree that most students want to kind of stay within their circle of folks that they work with a lot. And so trying to bring, you know, everyone together for a Junior Ryla is not always going to be, you know, the most successful unless we have, you know, like a really compelling program. I think we have to think about what we have to offer. The students that may not have the network that, you know, Dick, you've set up already, because there are other obviously areas of underserved youth too. So, you know, I think it's going to depend on the area for sure. But I think the committee needs to think about what the value is for, you know, if it's specific clubs we want to target, or if, you know, there's a specific area we want to target or whatever it is. But coming up with the program and the value, and then finding out who would be the beneficiaries of that.
I'll let a cat out of the bag right now. We've been invited to a party in Pro City. There's about 11 of us right now from different organizations, but in about 4.5 years, we're working with Hiko to buy our power plant. And they're willing over the next 30 years, giving us money every year. And an amount to $30 million after 30 years to set up our own foundation. Strictly for the Pro City Pro City residents. And we're looking at having one senior from Pro City High being on this board. And that got the schools excited.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So with that, I think that's it for my agenda today. There's, you know, some other things happening that behind the scenes, but we'll have more to report on later. There's one last thing I guess I didn't put on the agenda, but I put on the email from the last thing. So if you have an Interact club that you want to go for an RI citation for, there is a nomination form that is coming up during the summer. So it's an interesting time to place the nomination due date, but the due date is August 15th. So I don't even think some schools are actually back in session at that point. But if you are interested in going for the citation for this past Rotary year, that is when the nominations are due. And then obviously I think they've done this every year. So you'd look out for the next one in the next Rotary year for it to be due similarly the following August. So something to think about. All right.
Yeah, the schools will be back in session by then, at least the
Public schools, yeah.
public schools, yeah.
Well, so technically it's for hitting goals that you set for this past school year. So you would have kind of had to know already at this point, but they can't work on the nomination form until well, they can in the summer if you're in contact with them and they're working, if they're not playing.
Okay.
All right, I think that's it for me today. It's kind of end of the year meeting. We'll see you all. I don't know if we're gonna do one here at the end of this month because it's kind of transition time for folks. Try to do one probably sometime in July. Hopefully folks have been going through their club changing of the guards there. Right now for Jen and Naomi and me, this works well for timing. I know Jen, you got caught up a little bit here on a club meeting before this, but I think in general, this is the time that we're going to continue to meet through the next year. And sorry, the regular time of the fourth Monday of the month will continue to be. This is actually, I'm sorry, a different out of schedule date. But it will continue to be the fourth Monday of the month. That kind of works for all three of us. And we look forward to how supporting you in any way you can. Really, this committee isn't me telling you everyone what to do. I really don't want it to be that. In many ways, it's here to give you the things that we need to do, obviously. So keeping our clubs administratively on the right track and our youth protection administratively on the right track, but it's also to just help spread the word on a few district-wide programs, but then at the same time try to spread the word on what each of the clubs are doing. I'd hope that anyone who's got a successful project template or successful idea is more than willing to help share it with your individual clubs and your individual Interact clubs. I think it does, like, for, Dick's clubs over in the Aiea Pearl City area, it does matter on your area, right? And so just building that relationship with your area schools, I think takes each individual club a lot of effort. I don't think we're set up on the district side to make those inroads. So we'll do what we can to support, but I definitely need all of you to make the youth programs in your areas the best that they can be. So. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a good Monday. We'll share out the recording from this as well, and then we'll see you sometime after the new Rotary year. Thanks.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hello, everyone.